Gentlewoman from Richmond City, Ms. McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the amendment.
Gentlewoman has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I had my 20-week ultrasound. This is the big one where they check the anatomy. It's a girl, by the way. And they make sure that all of the organs are developing as they should. Thank God everything yesterday turned out okay for me. Unfortunately, not every ultrasound turns out that way. Like the case of the Weinsteins. Their 29-week ultrasound, it was revealed that the ventricles in their baby's brain were enlarged, and he was having difficulty swallowing. An MRI several weeks later confirmed that he suffered from multiple malformations of the brain. The Weinsteins were faced with the prospect of giving birth to a baby expected to suffer from nearly constant seizures, who would have required feeding tubes to stay alive, and could have been in a vegetative state. They decided, in consultation with their family and their doctor, to end the pregnancy rather than continue the suffering for another 2 months. And then there's Tracy from Arlington, a federal employee. Her ultrasound revealed that her baby's heart and intestines were going outside of her chest and stomach. Further tests confirmed that condition, as well as a herniated diaphragm and a cleft in her chest. Later ultrasounds showed her spine was deformed, pulling down the back of her brain, causing a buildup of fluid and significant brain damage. She was incapable of moving her legs down, her lung tissue was deformed, and the doctors did not think her lungs would function. They expected if the baby survived the pregnancy, she would suffocate shortly after the umbilical cord was cut. Tracy and her family agonized over what to do, having already delivered a stillborn baby. They desperately wanted another one. After getting a second opinion, they decided to terminate the pregnancy. But because Tracy was a federal employee, her insurance didn't cover the procedure. She couldn't be admitted to a hospital for the procedure because the hospital considered her uninsured. She ended up having to go to a private practice and paying in cash. What this budget amendment says, that if you are poor enough to be eligible for Medicaid and you find yourself in one of these horrific situations, you are on your own. Mr. Speaker, a family of 3 with an annual income of $25,000 would not be able to pay for this procedure on their own. And in effect, you are taking a horrific decision out of their hands and putting it in the hands of the House of Delegates. What the language in this amendment that requires every possible measure to be taken to preserve the life of the unborn child, in some cases, will lead to a very horrible death once that child comes to term. In the case where lungs have not been developed, you are asking a family to carry a baby to term, watch it be born, watch it essentially drown for 2 to 3 hours before its heart stops, while it struggles to breathe until it is exhausted and gasps for breath intermittently for hours, waiting to get so acidotic that it suffers arrhythmia and dies. Mr. Speaker, I know there are very strong held beliefs on both sides of this issue. But Mr. Speaker, if you really think that if you put yourself in the Weinstein shoes or Tracy's shoes or any of the unfortunate families that face themselves making this decision, and if you really think you can look them in the eye and say, you know better than they and their family and their doctor what is the right choice for them, if you can't do that, then you should vote no on this amendment. Thank you.